I've dried my work and I'm ready to move on to the next part of our watercolor stage. The water became lighter, just like I said. I want to show the background. It will be one of the compositional elements. The main element is the boat, of course, but the background is also a dark spot. I take a calligraphy brush. We need it to form the beautiful shape of the elements in the background, because we can see palm trees and trunks there and some houses. I want to work on it a little. Find the shape of palm trees. And the calligraphy brush will help me with it. It has a fine tip and the lines come out lively and bold. If you do the same thing with a squirrel brush, which is more controllable, the result will be slightly different. If you don't have a calligraphy brush, you can use a Ricoh brush or a fine squirrel brush. I show some individual trees, palm trees. I show their trunks. I use the reference for guidance, but later I'll need to unite them into one shape in order to avoid painting separate trees. Otherwise, our background will look split up. I needed to stay in the background. That's why we united. We don't paint separate trees and bushes or houses. We make an interesting mix of colors, while for the tree crowns I used ultramarine and orange plus a little green. Closer to the shore I added more orange. I add a little maroon to the roofs of the houses. Or quinacridone with orange plus ultramarine, it gives an interesting color. Change the color depending on the proportions. If you needed more pink, you'll have to add more quinacridone. I add ultramarine in some particular cases, and I paint the regular edge formed by the palm tree crowns. Try not to split it up too much. And the background shouldn't jump to the foreground. Also, avoid painting with one color. It looks beautiful. If you use blue for some elements, add green in some places, orange or warm tones. Grass green can also appear there. I like to add more ultramarine to the background. It creates the space, because the background should be much colder than the objects in the foreground, also because of the aerial perspective. We can leave unpainted gaps in some places. For example, I go around the house, its roof. I surround it by green palm trees. While the wash is wet, we can add colors to it. If it's already dry, then avoid adding because the edges will be too sharp. Let it stay in a united one-piece wash. If you don't feel that you will manage such detailed work, then make it general, united. I use a mix of ultramarine, Payne's Grey, quinacridone under the roofs. It gives purple tones. They look very contrasting next to the green of the palm trees. Of course, basic knowledge in color science helps me in my practice. There's a big lesson on color science in my basic watercolor course. I highly recommend it. It'll get much easier for you to mix colors and combine them in your works. Okay, I preliminary wet a small area in the background with a clean brush. It's a line where the shore will disappear. I use a little ultramarine to cover this area above water, showing that the shore disappears into the distance. We don't need details there, it's the opposite. We need to generalize things. I added a couple of blue accents to make it more interesting, not just a flat spot. I also showed some trunks on the left, shadows under the houses. Overall, I think we can leave it like this. I'll make the shoreline a bit longer. There's a spot that emerged from water. I didn't even notice it, but it doesn't scare me as I know how to handle it. I'll tell you about it later.